Alright guys, welcome back to Elden Ring. In the last episode we successfully completed Ronnie's quest. However, we didn't really explore the areas. We just ran through to complete her quest since it was so extensive. However, in this episode we will go back and comb through the areas. Now, we're going to just put on our cestus, the glintstone kris, and the sacrificial axe for this area. And we're going to use our FP regeneration talisman. This is really all we're going to need to complete the first area, Ainsel River in Library of the Lakes. There's multiple ways, like I said, to enter Ainsel River, but some of it is blocked off. You can't just go like we did in the last episode to get to Ronnie's quest line. This area will not take you there. We're going to level up Vigor for the very first time. Yes, that's right. Entering the 16th video, we're finally going to level Vigor for the first time to get to 19. Now, there's a reason for that. We also want to go ahead and put our fire tier on and lightning tier. This is going to be important. But yes, vigor is important now because we cannot use the mimic tier with the 12 vigor that we had when we started the game. So we have to go up to 19 to use it. Well, at least 19 will allow us to use it. Now this is our destination here. There's a golem right there, but we're going to flank him. Now, Ainsel River in Library of the Lakes is a relatively easy area because you're supposed to do this a little earlier in the game and we're overpowered now. You shouldn't have any problem whatsoever getting through this area. I'm going to get on Torrent here and we're going to flank this golem that's guarding the entrance to the well. All it's going to take is a few hits from the cestus and he'll go down and you can just repost him as we've always done. We don't even need to use the misericord anymore, because our critical damage is going to be strong enough. And this one's not even scaled, so it's like I said, it's an easier area. But we're going to sneak up on his leg here. Wail on his leg, he'll go down and just repost for an easy victory. Now we're going to be dealing with a lot of ants initially, and then mudmen. Mudmen are typically weak to fire and lightning. We're going to use fire on them for the most part. But once they're in the water, if they're in the water, you should use lightning because you'll get an extra bonus. We'll use some fire pots to take out a good deal of the claymen later on, but we'll also need the Thunderbolt Ash of War. We've already put that on one of our falchions. We got that from Lindell. So we'll have that at our disposal as well. And the boss in this area is going to be an absolute cakewalk because we're going to use Latina as a distraction and we'll just hit the boss a few times and it'll go down. Alright, so for this first cluster of ants, we want to walk onto this sarcophagus here. If you do this very strategically, you can get 2 for 1. If you aim for the top ant here, you'll be able to get 2 for 1 when the other ones fall down right here. I like to use a volcano pot to kill this one. You just aim right here. It'll either kill it outright or it'll just be near death anyway. Now there is an ant that's hanging about the ceiling here. It will not attack you when you go down here initially, but on the way back it will. So we'll just snipe it on the way back. See, he's right there, just waiting to pounce. You do not need to have a fully charged glintstone kris beam going at these ants. You can just use it with a tap. But for the more stronger ants, like the ones that have the big heads, you'll definitely want a fully charged shot with the glintstone kris. Now right here, after you get this grace mimic, hug the left wall because there's an ant in flanking position right here. Once you get your lock on, just take it out. Now, I recommend taking this ant out because it's on patrol. You see it turns around, and if you come over here, these ants are already aware of you, and you'll have to dodge their projectiles. But they're easy to dodge, but they'll do a ton of damage if you get hit by it, though. Sometimes one will come out of the ground, sometimes it won't, but if you go down all the way to the end of that tunnel, which is a dead end, you will have to deal with another ant. And here comes another one. I think they just change positions, really. Sometimes I don't have to kill one of the ants, but just be wary. And there's 2 more right here. Just don't rush through this next section without taking those ants out. We'll come back to this area later. First, we want to unlock a grace, although we're not going to really use it, because there's an elevator down here that will take us to the lower level of an area we're going to go up top and get the high ground. We'll have to go down there anyway. But by taking the high ground, we'll have the advantage on the claymen. And there's a lot of them in this next section, so it's best to just not take this elevator down. The elevator to the right there. I do not recommend taking it. We're just going to hit this grace. We don't really need to sit at it. We're just going to run away. But yeah, that one right there will take you to the ground level. But like I said, the high ground is the better ground. Now, this next section is chock full of ants. They're going to be on the ceiling, on the ground. And once they start falling from the ceiling, just make sure you have them locked on the ground level, because they can overwhelm you pretty quickly. And they do a lot of damage. And at our vigor level, we still can't take too many hits. We're only at a 19 base. But we still have the extra 5 from Godric's rune. But right here, we're just going to start shooting them on the ceiling. But just take care, don't have your focus on the ceiling the whole time, because once they start falling down from the ceiling, they can get to you very quickly. Just be aware of the ones that are on the ground, because they will be charging you. But as long as you're aware of that, this will be no issue whatsoever with the Glintstone Chris. Now for the claymen, and there are a lot of claymen in this next section. This is another reason that the high ground is better. We'll be able to use our volcano pots from above and take out the majority of them. And we'll finish the rest of them off with our Giant's Red Blaidd and Thunderbolt Ash of War. Make sure you do a good jump here. It's a very easy jump to miss. Do a running jump to make sure you land on this platform. What you really want to do is have them aware of your presence, because they'll cluster up together. And if you just stand here and you could just redo your loadout here, they'll know you're there and they'll start clustering up. This is what you want. We're going to get our jellyfish shield out, our Giant's Red Blaidd. Of course, we need the falchion with the Thunderbolt Ash of War. We're going to load up on fire damage here, because we are throwing volcano pots. We're going to need the Axe Talisman again as well. But we're also going to throw on the Lightning Scorpion Charm, since we're going to be using the falchion as well. Buffing is always good. They're already clustered up a little bit here, but they can't get to us. And we're going to use our physics flask as well, because we have fire and lightning in the physics flask. So both fire and lightning are very viable to take out all these enemies. Now be careful. Some of the claymen will get really close to the ledge underneath you and you can't see them. So tilt the camera to make sure you see how that one and that one is already down there. You can't really see them if you're backed up too much. Using the jellyfish shield in combination with the Giant's Red Blaidd will also give you a buff if you're using the Giant's Red Blaidd one-handed, as long as the Contagious Fury, Ash of War, or special skill I should say, is active. There are some claymen right here, and that's exactly what we're going to do with the Giant's Red Blaidd. Just wait for them to come to you, really, because there's a few more in this area. Now we can deal with the rest of them that are in the water. Again, we're going to buff and make this as easy as possible. You don't want them to come spread out and come at you and flank you and all that. By taking them out in a group, it's going to be a lot easier and a lot more efficient. There's a huge group of them right here. But with the Thunderbolt Ash of War, and they're in the water, they're sitting ducks, pretty much. You can see that area of effect attack that spreads out. That's constantly doing damage to them. And that's it. Now we're going to be dealing with another one of those Astel mini-bosses. The ones that shoot those rocks at you. Of course, not the one that we killed in the last episode, which was the Remembrance boss. But as long as we have the jar cannon, which we're going to go ahead and put on both arrow talismans, we're going to need the jar cannon here. And the good bolts, of course. And we're going to buff and we're going to get into a safe spot and just shoot it as we always do. And then we're going to deal with the claymen in the area and then get ready for the boss fight. There's also a merchant at the far end of this area, which we will meet. And there's also a map of the area as well. But we need to take out Astel first. We'll just run over here and take cover. Pretty much can't kill us from here. We'll just go ahead and buff. Try not to alert the claymen in the area because there's a bunch of them. But I've never had them come at me from here, though. Just keep shooting and moving forward. When it starts shooting, you'll never get hit. Just going over our heads, pretty much. And that's it. Now we need our fire damage back because we're going to be dealing with claymen again. And we're going to use the Giant's Red Blaidd fire dance to take a lot of them out. And then the overhead attacks, of course, by using the Claw Talisman. We're pretty much going to one-shot most of them with the jumping attack with the Claw Talisman and dual wielding these whips, as you can see. Plus we're still got our Golden Vow buff active as well. This is a really good strategy for taking these guys out. There's going to be some that fall from above here. Be careful. There's one right there, and another. If I can't get the upper hand on them right away, I'll just throw volcano pots and then finish them off. Now there's a couple of groups of them grouped up here, clustered together. By using the flame dance, we can take them all out with one flame dance. As long as you're positioned properly. But it's not hard to do. You can see some on the left and the right here. We're going to let this guy just walk over to his friends over here to the left. We'll sneak up on them and surprise them with the flame dance. They'll never saw it coming. Same with over here. There's a group. We'll just walk up right up to them and surprise. Beautiful. Now let's go meet our merchant. But there's some of these claymen have projectile attacks, and you'll see one right here. A couple of them here. We're just going to throw some volcano pots again. Stay clear of the bubble. It will explode. Again, it's better to come with the overhead attack. There's the map of the area and our merchant. Now, this merchant has a couple of cookbooks and a Lost Ash of War and a Celestial Dew. There is one more clay man in the area over here, just before the Grace. And then we'll have to delve into another ant layer before the boss. And we're going to take a little side road area as well to pick up some more Aeonian butterflies. Anytime we can get our hands on those, it's for the best. What we got is Harpoon. You don't really need to sit at this Grace and redo your loadout. We're pretty much going to kill the boss easily, but I just wanted to get a little more oomph out of my Nox Flowing Sword, but it's really not necessary. But we're going to go ahead and sit at this Grace and go with Strength and Dex. As far as talismans go, we really don't need to do anything special, but we really don't need the Fire Scorpion Charm for the rest of the cave, so we're just going to go with the Gold Scarab. It's really all we need. I mean, the rest of the area is trivial. As long as we have the Glintstone Kris, we'll use the Nox Flowing Sword for the boss. But Latenna is going to soften up the boss for us and distract, so all we have to do is come from behind and hit it a few times with the Flowing Form, and it's game over. There's nothing special here. We're just going to snipe them from left to right. The more dangerous enemies are the basilisks that are in the side cave we're going to go into to get some Aeonian butterflies. We're going to use fully charged shots for the Basilisk. They've always been tanky. Now here's an immunizing horn charm. We've already got the better version of it, so this one is pretty much useless for us. But there are basilisks hidden in these little cubbies over here. Most of them are unaware of your presence, but always good to get the jump on them here. Death Blight will build up quite fast in this game, so do not take these things lightly. Now right here, there's quite the hidden one. Right here, you pretty much can get overwhelmed right here. I've had that one come from behind before because I didn't see him. You'll get some soap. And get these Aeonian butterflies. The more we have, the better. We'll be able to farm them now because we'll be able to farm the Aeonian butterflies now since we've opened up the Lake of Rot, and the basilisks in the Lake of Rot will drop them at an 8% drop rate. But we can increase that by using the Silver Scarab and the Silver Tear Mask. And of course, if you level up Arcane, you can increase your item discovery even further. Now it's time for the boss. Now the boss is quite easy with our setup here. Latenna is fully maxed out, and she's going to be a huge distraction for the boss. All we have to do is just come from behind with the Nox Flowing Sword. The boss is most weak to slashing damage, and the Nox Flowing Sword does slash damage, so that's what we're going to go with. And it's going to be over before it even starts, guys. It's that easy because we're overpowered. This is a much earlier game area we're supposed to have entered, but it's going to be a cakewalk. And we'll get a great Ghost Glovewort once we kill the boss, which is good because we'll use that on the Mimic tier. But don't go too far here. We'll go ahead and start buffing here. Once you get into the water, it's pretty much going to spawn. So we'll just spawn Latenna immediately once we see the icon that we can, and it's already here. So just run away to the left here, and it will snipe it. It will draw its aggro. All you have to do is come from behind. By the time it knows you're hitting it, it will be too late. And that's it. We'll get a spell, and we'll get a Great Ghost Glovewort in this area right here. We can get a Grace here. We'll get some more Great Ghost Glovewort in the next section that we clear out. We're going to go comb through the Nokstella Eternal City. We very briefly went through that area in the last episode just because we wanted to finish Ronnie's quest. But there are a bunch of items in that area. And that's our goal. We're going to go ahead and go there. Now, we're going to dig out a dagger from our storage bin because we're going to use a stealth method that's highly effective. More effective than the Concealing Veil and the Crepice Vial. So we're going to use the Urge Steel Dagger. It don't matter what dagger you put it on, as long as it's a dagger. And put on the Ash of War Assassin's Gambit. It will cost health to do this, but it's a very minimal. And we're going to go ahead and put on the Lightning and Magic Tears here. The health that you lose is very minimal, so if we equip the Blessed Dew Talisman, we'll get our health back easily. We're going to use the Sacred Falchion just for this one particular enemy, and then we're going to take it off. Because the rest of the Nox enemies, we're going to ambush with backstabs or critical attacks. So right here, we're just going to wait by the stairs for this Nox enemy to turn around. He's on patrol here. These enemies are most weak to holy damage, but with our new stealth abilities here, we're just going to backstab them. It's easier that way. They'll go down with one stab. It's unnecessary to cast Blessing of the Erdtree. I don't know why I did it. I guess because I wanted to have maximum damage with the Sacred Blade for the next enemy, because I'm losing health right there. But with the Blessed Dew Talisman, you'll have your health right back. Use Royal Knight's Resolve and get the backstab. Now we'll get the Falchion out and use Sacred Blade. I've tried to sneak up on this guy, and it just doesn't work. So Sacred Blade is going to pretty much two-shot him. And then we'll go back to our Magic Talisman here. We don't need the Falchion again. Now we're going to get out our Glintstone Crisp because we have a buttload of those Mimic Tears. They're going to be about, but we don't have to kill a lot of them. We can just kill a couple and they'll kill each other. But the more you can stack together, the better. Get the penetration and just let them kill each other. And you don't need to fully charge your Glintstone Crisp for sure here. These go down very easily. We've already been to the left in the last episode, so we need to go to the right this time. Now, there's a Mimic Tear here that will come up on your head here if you don't kill it. There's a little hidden area to the left with another Mimic Tear ready to pounce on you. Another Somber 7. We got a lot of Somber 7s. Now, for this next part, we need to take out this ball because this thing will chase you all the way. Wherever you go, it will chase you. So we want to take it out as fast as possible. So let's just run towards it and use our fully charged Glintstone Crisp bolts to take it out as fast as we can. It will come at you. You should deal with it pretty easily. Now we're going to show you how good Assassin's Gambit really is. This thing is amazing for stealth. So there is a Stone Sword key here, but there are two Noxes in here. Now, the best way to do it is right here. Just use the Assassin's Gambit, and then use Royal Knight's Resolve. Get this guy with a backstab. As soon as you get the backstab, the other one will come to investigate, but he can't see you. He literally cannot see you. So just loop around and get him. It just doesn't get any easier. There's some puppets in this chest. Now, the next two rooms that we're going to explore have traps, but we know where the traps are and we can deactivate them before entering the room. If you don't deactivate them before entering the room, you're going to have a really bad time. A really, really bad time, because some of these traps are very hard to deal with. But this one is the lesser of the traps. This one's not too hard to deal with even if you get trapped. It's just a ball. So just destroy it before entering the room. But if you go into the room without killing it, the doors will shut and the ball is going to come at you. But the next room is worse. There are going to be infinite enemies that spawn if you do not take out the ball. As long as you take out the ball, the enemies won't spawn at all. So you know what we're going to do. And you'll get another great Ghost Glovewort here. But we're going to need a few things here. We're going to need to shoot the ball, so we're going to need the jar cannon for the range. We can't use the glintstone Chris. It's not going to be good enough for the range. But all we have to do is just get the ball to come to us, and it will get trapped within the door, and we can just finish it off. But if you enter this room without killing the ball, there's going to be an infinite amount of enemies that spawn, and they're very hard to deal with. So just shoot one time to get the ball to fall down. The ball is what spawns the enemies. So as long as you take out the ball, you're going to have no problem whatsoever. You only take 3 fully charged shots. And 1 small one. We're almost done with this section. We have 1 more room to deal with. It contains 2 Noks and a couple of Mimic Tears that will spawn into humanoids. You have to be very careful with your spacing here. If you get too close to the door, the humanoids will spawn and they're very tanky enemies. However, if you shoot them before they spawn, just like we did in the last episode, you won't have to deal with them at all. We're just going to get this scarab here to get another somber 6. But yes, we want to buff as well, because we want to one-shot these Mimic Tears about right here. Don't go any further than this spot right here. We want to snipe both Mimic Tears before entering the room, and we're just going to use Assassin's Gambit to backstab the Noks, and that's going to be it. The main problem are the Mimic Tears, because once they spawn into the humanoid form, they're very tanky. But why deal with that if you don't have to? So we're going to get Assassin's Gambit again. You have plenty of time to get behind him. And that's it. The room is clear and you can get the talisman. This talisman will give you a couple of extra slots, memory slots. Now we're going to go back to the grace that we started with and go to the next sections. So the first thing we want to do is take out the mount that the Nox is riding up here. We can one-shot the mount as long as we buff, and then we can just run up and critical the Nox when he's on the ground. However, we screwed it up on the first one here. We do it in the next couple. But what you want to do is just buff. These mounts are very dangerous. Always aim for the mount first, and then run up on the Nox as he's recovering. One fully charged blast from the Glintstone Chris will take out the ant, and you can just run up and do the critical. Actually, I did get the critical here. Now, this next section is tricky, but we're going to do it very strategically. So there's a Nox that's already on patrol. If you go ahead and run up on him, we're kind of tempting fate here, because if he turns around, he's going to see us because we'll be too close to him. But we can get behind him and just backstab him. So we just got him. But here's the tricky part. There are a bunch of mimic tears across the way that will shoot us with projectiles, and they're very accurate and very deadly. However, if we use the Assassin's Gambit in combination with the jar cannon, we can take out a couple of them, and then we can deal with the rest of them from above using the Thunderbolt Ash of War like we did with the Claymen. And this will also weaken the next mount that's down there. So you can aim right here. Try to aim for the fleshy parts of the mimic tier. Now there is one that we can't get to the fleshy part, but we took out those two right there. But this one on the left, it's not going to be really possible to get. You're just going to have to keep shooting it. It's better to take this one out now because it will give you a headache later. And the rest of the enemies are snails that will come from behind once we get down there. But we'll deal with them shortly. But what we want to do, see how that one's already shooting at us. We're going to use Assassin's Gambit again for cover. Well, now we can get them all because they're in the water. So we'll go with our lightning setup, and we'll buff. But it is important, again, to use Assassin's Gambit anytime you're getting close to where they can see you. And we'll use our physics flask here because we're going to be using lightning and magic. We'll get even more damage. But here's where you want to use the Thunderbolt Ash of War. You'll take out a majority of the enemies very easily. And then they're going to kill each other on top of that and cause more damage to the Nox and the mount down there. Just keep raining thunder upon them. Or lightning. I don't know why it's called Thunderbolt, because thunder isn't lightning. I'm going to go back to our magic because we're going to be taking out some more mounts. We'll need the Godfrey icon as well. I'm going to be taking out some more snails as well. We'll just finish off the stragglers. All of the main threats are dead, especially the mimic tiers with the shields that shoot those projectiles. There's a few more Noxes over there. But we're going to take out the snails. There's a bunch of snails over here. But with the Assassin's Gambit yet again, they can't really see us. It's such a good Ash of War, guys. I highly recommend using it. We're going to come from behind these groups of snails. There's going to be some that fall from the wall here. We're going to use a volcano pot to knock some of them off. Again, we just want to shoot all of the snails so they don't cause any problems. pretty much just throw it right in the middle. Sometimes it won't kill all of them. But it's going to take out the majority. There's going to be one more snail that falls. He's a late bloomer. He'll come down, don't worry. He will always try to ambush you. You'll see him coming in a second. And there he is. I'm not even sure what triggers him. Now we're going to go deal with a couple of more Noks over here. We'll use the Assassin's Gambit, of course. There's some loot over here. Now, it's kind of tricky to get the backstab on the second one in succession with the first one. So if you try to backstab the first guy and just run up on the second guy, it's probably not going to work very well because the guy on patrol, he turns around pretty quickly. So it's best to just backstab this guy and just be patient and wait for your opportunity to get the next backstab. If you get your timing just right, yeah, it's possible. But it's not very consistent to do. Definitely want misericord here. See, the one that's ahead of us is on patrol. By the time we kill this guy, he's going to turn around. Just wait for your opportunity and backstab him. Now we've got a few more mounts to take out before this area is clear. And we'll move on to the Lake of Rot. There's not much loot up top where those mimic tears were shooting us. But there is a nice grave glovewort right here. A ghost glovewort 8 right there. You'll definitely want that. And there's a couple of clusters of ants up here too. Nothing to write home about. Glintstone Chris for the win. I believe this is the only loot up here. A silver tear husk. Yeah, that was worth it. Now, these ants up here. I think these ants are pretty tanky, so I think we should go with a full charge shot. I'm not sure. Or I'm just being careful. There's a stone sword key in the area as well. You don't want to miss out on that. But be careful. Don't go to the left where the river is just yet because there's a couple of mounts. There's 2 mounts over there with Noks riding the mounts. We're going to use the same strategy as we did before. We're going to buff. We're going to do a fully charged Glintstone Chris. And then we're going to just run up on them and do a critical. You definitely don't want both of them on you at the same time, so. We want to be able to one-shot them, so both buffs will guarantee it. To one-shot them out. Enabling us to get the critical. Fully charged. Dead. Run up on him. We'll go ahead while our buffs are still active and take out the final mount. This one's a little farther away, but we'll get the backstab. The mounts are done. There are no more mounts in this area. Just a few ants. And there's a big headed ant over there. We don't need to take him out. It's not going to do anything for us. There's a few more pieces of loot to collect before moving on to the Lake of Rot. I believe there's a Celestial Dew and maybe some shards, maybe a somber stone, I'm not sure. The ghost glovewort here. Another 8. I believe that's it. On to the Lake of Rot. Now, before, when I went through the Lake of Rot, I didn't really do anything special but just cast Blessing of the Erd Tree. But I'm not going to do that this time because I need more FP this time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the Crimson Burst here to save our FP so that we don't have to keep casting Blessing of the Erd Tree. In addition, we're going to use the Blessed Dew Talisman and the Icon Shield to get 5 health back per second. Now, the trick to the Lake of Rot is just casting Flame Cleanse Me before you get rotted. So in the last episode, I waited till I got rotted, which was a bad idea. We're going to do it much better this time, but we're going to need more FP. So I'm going to put on the talisman that's going to give us more FP. So right up here, Carillion Amber Medallion. And we're going to use the Immunizing Horntron +1, of course. So we'll have more on our rot bar there. But we're really not going to need to cast any spells for health regen here, because we're going to cast Flame Cleanse Me before we get rotted for the most part. Now, I mentioned that you can farm Aeonian butterflies. This is where you're going to farm them. There are 3 basilisks that will spawn here. We're not going to kill them right now, but as soon as you walk along this platform that you get to rise up, 3 of them are going to come out. There's one there. There's going to be a couple more that come out. You just keep killing these guys, and if you want to delve deeper into the lake, you can, because there's a lot more of them. But right here, here's the thing. Cast Flame Cleanse Me before you get to the end of the bar. I usually wait till it's about just after half. I use my leg or my arm as a reference. So once you see the bar fill up past your arm, just go ahead and start casting. You can see I didn't get rotted at all. And if you do make a mistake, the health regen from the shield and from the talisman will be more than enough to get you back up to speed. We got rotted there, so we lost a little health, but as you'll see, we'll still get it back. The main thing is just keep casting over and over. As soon as you see that bar go past your arm, your right arm, just go ahead and cast it again. We're just going to make a trip through the rot. Through the lake here. We're just going to make our way around. We're going to go ahead and get our cookbook that I didn't get last episode, but is extremely valuable for us. It's going to allow us to craft rot pots and rot grease. So very nice to get that into our repertoire. Of course, we have weapons that can do rot, but it's always good to get a hefty amount of rot on an enemy immediately, and the rot pots can do that. Make sure to pick up these Aeonian butterflies. There's a few scattered out through the lake. We want to get as many as we can. But this is pretty much the gist of getting through the lake. You're just going to keep casting Flame Cleanse Me, and when your FP runs low, just fill up again. And just keep doing it. We don't need a health regen spell. That's just going to waste more FP. Just the Icon Shield and the Talisman is more than enough to get you back up. And you'll see it. It's going to get our health back up right here. But here is the cookbook over here. For our rot pots and rot grease. Now we have a mini boss coming up. It's one of those Alabaster Lords. But we're going to kill him with the Glintstone Chris while we're buffed. But we got to get to him, and it's a area that will lift up once we stand on the appropriate pressure plate. But there's also a Somber Smithing Stone 9 up here, which is very good because we're going to use that on our Glintstone Chris to get it to +9. We've already got an 8 in this lake that we can get, actually 2 of them. Now here's the trigger right here. Once you hit this pressure plate next to this obelisk, it will take you up. There is a way to get back down with a ladder, which we'll do. So don't panic that, oh, I got up here and I can't get down. No, there's a ladder. But we're going to redo our setup here because we need magic damage. And we're going to sneak up on the Alabaster Lord with the Assassin's Gambit so that we can get solid shots on him without him retaliating. So just Golden Vow, Howl of Shabiri. And we're finally going to use our Physics Flask. And this will give us more than enough health regen to get through the rest of the lake. Because it gives us 3 minutes of health regen. What we want to do is just run up on the Alabaster Lord till he spawns. You might have to dodge one projectile, but once you get that one projectile, you should be able to finish him off with some glintstone crisps. He saw us slightly there, but now he's just going to stand there and let us kill him. Assassin's Gambit for the win. Just don't get too close to him. He'll drop his sword. And there's a Somber Smithing Stone 9 on the right up here. There's another Somber 6 from a Scarab about. We'll get him very shortly. Now, I should have put my Rot equipment back on, but I did not. But since I have the health regen, I guess it doesn't matter too much. But you'll see I nearly die here. So I recommend go ahead and reload with the Immunizing Horn Charm and all that you did before. And the FP Talisman. But I didn't do it here, and I nearly died. So learn from my mistakes. Right here is the Scarab. Here's where I should have reloaded, but I didn't. Reload my talismans. Again, there's a lot of basilisks in this area if you want to farm them for the Aeonian butterflies. But unfortunately, you have to go into the lake to do it. You can see I have a lot less time to cast, so I'm just running and letting my health run down here. The health regen will not be enough to keep you from dying. Always keep that in mind. How quickly it will kill you. Now we're just going to heal up. There's a few basilisks here. Some more butterflies. There's a special piece of armor up here that you'll want to get. This actually helps you in the Lake of Rot. Mushroom helmet. You don't really need to craft any pots. I was just trying to be cheeky here. You don't really need to craft any fire pots here. I was just trying out the new pot that I was using. You can use volcano pots or just snipe them with the glintstone crisp. It doesn't matter. Or you can just run from them. Just try to make your jump onto this platform. You just run off or just roll onto it. But here I'm just using the giant's pot, the fire pot here. You can get the materials in the mountaintops of the giants. Doesn't even kill it with one shot. You definitely don't want to be down there when they're spewing all that nonsense. Pretty much done. We just got a little bit more loot to collect. Somber Smithing Stone and a few Aeonian butterflies. And a Somber Smithing Stone 8 as well. Definitely want to pick up the 8. And then we'll move on to the final section. We're just going to go back into Ainsel River and get an item that we did not get before when we were doing Ronnie's quest line. I did mention that we were going to get it, but it was kind of out of our way because it takes us to a lower section, the first section that we went into at the beginning of this video. It's a pretty cool weapon though, so it's worth getting. Not sure if we're going to use it or not. But as you can see, you really don't need too much to get through the Lake of Rot. You definitely need Flame Cleanse Me, though. The more FP you have, the better. A few more basilisks up here. These things are surprisingly tanky, I must say. Ideally, when farming these guys, you want to be on solid ground. So this is another section you can come to farm them. I don't recommend going into the lake to do it. Now there's a Somber 8 over here. You definitely want to pick this one up. And just a few more Aeonian butterflies, and that'll be it for the Lake of Rot. I think we actually missed a few butterflies there on behind me. Now our next destination is Ronnie's Rise. We need to kill Blaidd and finish his quest line. Unfortunately, we have to put him down. There's no other way. He's going to be hostile towards us, so we got to kill him. And we're going to use the same strategy that we used before to kill the Baleful Shadow. We're going to use darkness to just backstab him. It's the easiest way. There really is no other better way, really. Just backstab him once. And then we'll do a darkness cast and backstab him again. And that's it. Lake of Rot is finished. Now let's go kill our buddy Blaidd. Unfortunately. And then once we kill him, we'll go and end Ijii's quest line. Unfortunately, he will die as well. So what we want to do is get all our critical attack ready. So we need the Mesricord, we need the Dagger Talisman, of course. And we're going to buff. But yeah, once Ijii dies, we'll be able to get Sombers 1 and 2 from the Twin Maiden Husks without having to get the Bell Bearing, which is in a cave in Caelid, which we really don't need it, to be honest, but we'll do it anyway. We really don't need the Crepus Vial because we're going to be using Assassin's Gambit again. But we want to get the most out of our stabs, so we're going to heal just before we backstab him. Make sure to have Darkness on tap, because you're going to need to cast it once to get the second backstab, and then once he's recovering from that, one hit will take him out from anything. You'll hear him talking here. Just go ahead and start buffing. Use Assassin's Gambit. that we'll need to heal ourselves even that little tiny bit, unfortunately, is going to not activate the ritual sword talisman. So yeah, we'll just run up on him, get a backstab, get ready to cast darkness immediately. You might have to dodge just one attack here, but easy enough to do. Then you get behind him and do it again. Darkness is such a good spell, guys. Breaks the game, really. And that's it. You'll get his armor set and his sword. We've already gotten his mask from the last episode. Now let's talk to Ijii and tell him that his buddy Blaidd is dead. Once you tell him of Blaidd's death and rest at a grace, he will die. Then you can get his bell bearing and will no longer have to come here to buy 1s and 2s anymore.
Blaidd became a curse that I made a grave misjudgment. I'll catch up with you when I do.
Not really sure what causes Blaidd's death because there is a lot of assassins nearby, black knife assassins here. There's a lot of lore videos that speculate what happened, but I couldn't tell you. We'll get his helmet as well. We'll go to Round Table Hold, and we'll give the bell bearing to the Twin Maiden Husks. We'll level up the Glintstone Chris to +9, and then we'll go get that last weapon from Ainsel River. Not sure if we're going to use it or not. I heard it's a really good weapon, though. And that'll be the episode. So now we got 1s and 2s. We can infinitely buy. But like I said, there's another bell bearing that you can get where it's all in order, but we really don't need it. But we're still going to do it, like I said. The Glintstone Chris is going to become even more formidable now because we have an 8 and a 9 that we can use on it. Once we get to Mikla's Halig tree, we'll get another ancient somber smithing stone, which we'll use on the Glintstone Chris. I had thought about ending the video here, but I went ahead and did a quick edit and decided to go ahead and finish Ainsel River completely. So all we'll need is the Glintstone Chris here, nothing crazy. We're just going to get the maximum damage out of it. Since we just upgraded it as well, it's going to do way more than enough damage to kill these ants and the enemies that are about. But we want to go back to Nokstella Eternal City, Site of Grace. And then we're going to backtrack just a little bit and take that side path that we ignored in the last episode. I mentioned it in the last episode, but I said we'd come back. So we're going to go ahead and do it now, and that'll be it. Nothing crazy here, just a few ants. One of those big ants with the big heads. Probably the most dangerous enemy on your way to this weapon. Now, this is the more dangerous one here. If you can get him from the side and get a fully charged shot, you can kill him in one shot, but I didn't do it here, I don't think. But as long as you get ready to charge at him, he has to lift his head to attack you, so that's going to be your best opportunity. Now we're just going to kill a few of these, I guess they're perfumers. I'm not sure exactly, I forgot what these enemies are, but it doesn't matter. They're going to go down with the Glintstone Chris anyway. Fully charged shot just to be safe. There's one to the right as well. And that area down there is where we were at the beginning of the episode. There's a somber smithing stone up there we'll get in just a second. But first, the weapon. Heard this is a very nice weapon. I'm not sure, like I said, if it's going to be part of our arsenal yet. I'm trying to stick to the basics. Whips, fists, crossbows, ranged weapons. The Wing of Astel. And a few other little weapons, but for the most part, I'm trying not to go too far out and use every weapon in the game, but we'll see how this works out. And here's your Somber Smithing Stone, and that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.